Hi, we're going to be talking about how to have a great small group meeting. And there are several components of a great small group meeting. The first one is very significant. It's the power of welcome. It's the power of fellowship. It's a social time when people are first coming into the group session. And so when somebody comes in, walks into the room, they should receive several things right away. They should receive a look. Everybody near them should look at them. Second, they should receive a word. Everybody near them should speak to them. Hi, good to see you. How are you? Welcome. Third, everybody should receive a touch, an appropriate touch, where somebody experiences human contact. If it's whatever's appropriate in your culture, that could be a handshake, that could be a hug, that could be a kiss, but they receive a look, a word, a touch, and then they receive something to eat or drink, something to help them relax. Something to drink, something to eat is always relaxing. Now, don't underestimate these things. We had a man in the town where I started a church, and his girlfriend was coming to our church, became a Christian, and she began to require him that if he wanted to go on a date with her, he had to come to a man's group that I was leading. Now, he'd never been in church. He was a very tough, hard, gruff fella. He was the toughest police officer in our city, and everybody knew it. So he came to our men's meeting, and we would close our men's meetings with sharing our needs, praying for one another. We'd put our hands on the man we were praying for, and after we were done praying, we would hug him. Well, this guy, the first time he came, rolled his eyes and looked at us very skeptically. And that happened pretty much the second and the third time. But the fourth time he came was different. He was paying very close attention. And when we began to pray for one another and we put our hands on the person and we gave them a hug, when he came in and people were remembering his name and greeting him, it got to him. And then he said, look, I want to be prayed for. I just found out I have lung cancer. And so we prayed for him and we hugged him. One of the men in that group was a medical doctor who took a special interest in him and began to talk to him throughout the week. And it made a difference. I saw the guy not long after that, and I said, why do you keep coming? He broke up with the girl, and they weren't dating anymore. I said, why do you keep coming to this men's group? And he said, well, it's because I need the prayer and I need the hug. Fascinatingly, he lived much longer with the lung cancer than anyone expected, and he was given the opportunity to share his testimony of how God was working in his life. He came to know Christ, share his testimony with all the police officers in our region. So welcoming people, giving them a look, a word, a touch, something to eat or drink is a very powerful thing. The last part of it is you gather everybody together and you have a group question, an icebreaker question. And the question a lot of times is something simple like, how did your week go? How would you describe it in a sentence? How would you describe your week in just one word? And then tell us why you picked that word. And it brings everybody together. The walls have come down, the defenses have dropped, and they're ready to allow God to speak to them. Never underestimate the importance of that first 15 minutes, the welcome time, the fellowship time, the connection time that everybody needs in order to be ready to deal with God and His Word.